This week on Test Flight, we're flying the Lockheed P-80. What could possibly go wrong? Join us. Right, you join us on the runway for the first of our flights today. This is the X1 turbojet engine flight test by Raptor 9. Not entirely a P-80 flight plane, but it looks just like it, so I'm going to include it in the list anyway, and we'll get started with it. Let's just get going. Let's just power up the engines. Let's just move, get the brakes off. Let's move forward. Yay. So, the Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star, also known as the F-80, was the first jet fighter used operationally by the United States. It was rushed into production, and I believe it was something like, it was like half a year. I think it was 143 days it took for it to actually become go from the drawing board to its first flight, or something like that, or from the design process starting. It's quite interesting because if you actually compare it to other jet fighters at the time, it's quite unique in its look, isn't it? It's got these sort of outboard sort of rigging sort of tanks on the end there. It's got its standard engine at the back. It's quite a short craft. Got a sort of very much a sort of, I want to say it's almost like a high altitude sort of wing, as though you didn't want to go sort of supersonic. Of course, rushed into design because jet engines were the big thing. However, didn't do particularly well when compared with the its Russian or USSR combatant, which would be the MiG-15. MiG-15 had its swept wing, it was quicker. So in an air superiority role, the P-80 did not really hold its own, shall we say. However, it did have its place as the first jet fighter for the United States, and so, as such, it's a nice little craft to look at. So this one is actually quite a nice look. You'll see the tail there, where you've got your tailplanes above the sort of the jet engine fuselage point. Very nice. It's actually a really nice design. This, it's got on the front here, it's got the intakes just either side or slung underneath the cockpit there. On the actual craft there'd be a little bit of a gouge in there, but you know, this is Kerbal, so not perfect. We're going to try and just shut the engine off and see if it can do an unpowered landing, and then we'll move on because I have a lot of these to look at today. So we're going to come down at pace because we can, and then we're just going to do this. I don't believe other we can actually jettison the fuel tanks. There we go. Get rid of those before we land, because we don't want to land with those on, because you know that would be crazy, wouldn't it? It'd be absolutely crazy to land with fuel tanks attached. Who would do something like that? I'll just pull up a bit, get a bit of flare going. Don't want to go too far up though. I want to stay nose down. Right. This craft has a lot of lift to it actually. For a jet craft, you don't normally get them having this much lift. Maybe this is a Kerbal thing, but yeah. Oh, we're bunnying. Oh no, bunnying, no bunnying. Oh, it's very bouncy. I'd probably dampen the wheels a bit on this one. Got a bit of brakes on. Oh, this is going to be a horrible landing. Oh. Well, any landing you can walk away from. So yeah, that's the X1 turbojet engine flight test by Raptor. I think we've tested it to destruction there. So let's move on to the next one. So here we are on a crisp morn on the runway, waiting for our next flight. This is the P-80 Shooting Star by JeantheDragon, or JeantheDragon. I don't entirely know if you're a man or a woman, or if it matters. Anyway, we're going to get going. Full power on, get that going, get the brakes off, because we need to make sure those are off. Should we got any lights? Do we have lights? Oh, we'll put the lights on. That's always nice, isn't it? So, this is a little bit more actually refined view of it. You can see the long sort of wing lines there. Some just sort of finickities. The nose there being very bulbous for jet planes at the time. The sort of bulbous nose of the P-80. It's quite interesting. I do wonder because of the speed at which it was rushed into production, as to whether that really hampered the quality of the design, shall we say. But I don't know. We do not have detachable fuel tanks on this craft. It has a tendency to pitch, I noticed, downwards. That's interesting. so you need to trim that out a bit. It's a nice little craft. It does have a pilot on board. Let's see, can we just turn on a dime? So the P-80 or F-80 was supposed to be quite an agile craft. The idea being that it was going to be doing dogfights. It was here for air superiority. Added speed with maneuverability was the idea. This is a lovely little craft, a lovely shot there in the sun. Turn it round. Can we do a little turn? So it's a really nice little craft. Oh, getting into the cockpit there. I could. Dare I try and land it in the cockpit? Ooh, let's give it a go. Let's try. It's going to go horribly wrong. I've never done this before. Look at the scratches on the cockpit. That's nice. Let's try landing. Oh, we're down. Well, that was easy enough. So, that is the P-80 Shooting Star by JeantheDragon. It's a little weird to fly around. Very nimble and easy to land, obviously. But, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm a big fan. It's an interesting one. I should like it, and I don't for some reason. So, on to the next one. So, here we have the third of our P-80 Shooting Star craft. This is the P-80A by AlphaAntares. They have chosen to put quite swept wings on this one, which is quite interesting. I'm not sure. I think it fits massively with the original design. I suppose the literature I've seen always presents the P-80 as sort of having quite outright wings, but I think that the rear sweep there is maybe a little bit unrealistic. I don't know. It is extremely agile. Extremely agile. Whoa, too agile. Yeah. Let's get ourselves a bit of SAS on there. This one, let's try it without SAS. Yeah. Whoa. Oh. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's if you trim that out, it'd probably be quite nice. If you were doing some, yeah. This is probably the most realistic, if I'm honest, with the flight characteristics, because I'd imagine that the P-80 was designed as an interceptor, designed as a fighter, air superiority craft. It would be a twitchy craft. It would be on the edge. It would be you know, you wouldn't want to mess around with it. Now, although the P-80 wasn't the best jet in the air at the time, the MiG 15 was probably a better craft. It did have some variants and some you know, its life wasn't over with its replacement. It was replaced by the F-86 Sabre, which was deemed to be a much better air superiority sort of transonic fighter or craft in general. But it did live on in part in the shut the engines down because I'm going to come around at some point and land. It did live on for some points as the F-94 Starfire, which was like an all-weather interceptor, so it could deal with all sorts of conditions, and that was, I believe, used in the Korean War and used the same airframe basically as this, with just some modifications. And it also lived on as the T-33 Shooting Star trainer, which was used by the Americans in the Air Force and the Navy for quite some time. I think until the 80s, 90s. I think it might have been the mid-90s it was replaced finally. So what do I think of this craft? Well, again, the wings, not a big fan of that design. I think the nose is Kerbal. It's not been rounded off as much as the P-80 had a much shorter nose. The air intakes, it gripes me that I just don't like that. I think it doesn't suggest the roundedness of the era, and the era was very rounded. The cockpit's beautiful. I mean, the cockpit in Kerbal is actually it's the shape of the P-80's cockpit in reality. Apart from the back section, which wouldn't be covered, it'd be glass all the way around. But you know, it's a nice craft. The engine at the back is a bit big. Tail position's okay, but meh. It's a nice Kerbalized version. I think probably the first couple are better homologues of it, but we'll see. Let's try. Now this is going to be an interesting one because it has very narrow landing gear. So we're going to just try and see how that goes. There we go. Oh, well, let's put the brakes on. We didn't need that bit. That was just an extra fuel tank. We didn't need that, obviously. Or that one. Just get rid of those. Just make the craft better like that. There we go. So that looks better, doesn't it? That looks more like a Kerbal fighter now. Right, on to our next one. Welcome to the runway with our fourth P-80. This is actually the K-80 Super Striker from Let Me Park That For You, or another anagram of that phrase. Again, links down below. I'm actually going to go inside the cockpit for this one. Let's go. Let's take off. Right, so this one I think is very much a sort of a chunky Kerbalized version of the P-80. I like it. We'll try and take off like this. I quite like, I must say, the cockpit view, the sort of scratches on the cockpit. It's quite nice. I'll probably get our gears in. Oh, let's get out of cockpit view now. So, yeah, this has got a lot of flap control. The wings are, yeah, quite chunky actually, aren't they? So the P-80 was actually developed as a sort of response to the Allied information regarding the Messerschmitt development of a jet fighter, and it was designed and whatnot very quickly at the end of the Second World War. We're talking 1943, I think the first details of the Messerschmitt came in. Hence probably the odd sort of fusion of what you would consider to be sort of Second World War sort of plane design combined with modern jet engines. It is that sort of crossing point. This is a nice little craft. It's very maneuverable. It's not the fastest in the world. It's Kerbal though. It's got a lot of wing. It's got an awful lot of wing. I'm not actually sure what the top speed of the P-80 was. It wasn't a massively sort of fast transonic craft, I do know that, but it did use the jet engines, so yeah, it's an interesting one. This craft is nice. It's very Kerbal-y. It's got that sort of, I quite like the use of this at the top of there to make it a flat sort of structure. Again, we've got an interesting wing arrangement. We've got these pods on the side, which again, they're sort of underneath, but in the actual P-80, or at least the documentation I've seen, they would actually be slung underneath. The landing gear is a bit chunky. I'm not sure I like the air intakes. It's more like a other craft, shall we say, that have got that sort of thing. We're going to turn it around. We're going to try and just play around with this. So it's an interesting little craft, this one. It's very slow. It's actually probably the most realistic regarding speed, because you know, jet engines were stuck on, but they weren't massively powerful at the time. They were still being developed. It wasn't, you know, you've got to remember, manned flight above Mach 1 didn't happen until the 50s, 60s, you know. So in reality, these planes would not have gone fast. They would have taken their time. They would have been faster than the propeller-driven equivalents, but they weren't anything what we would consider now to be a plane as such, a high-speed fighter plane. It was about being nimble. It was about having that range, that ability to whoa, ew, look at that, that ability to do all the things that a normal fighter could do, just a little bit faster, a little bit more nimbler. So there we are. So that is the K-80 Super Striker from Let Me Park That For You. It's a really nice craft, actually. It's a nice, I would say, if you're going to try one of these and you're a learner, try this one. You know, I've just landed it and taken it off dead easy. It's maneuverable. It's a really nice little go. I think the nose there could have been sorted out, but again, it's limited by what Kerbal provides us with. They've actually used the you can actually, that's great, you could have some extra training wheels if you really want. Okay, right, you know what, I wonder if we can, let's try doing this. Can we get a bit of power up? Can we do that? Oh, that's annoying. Oh, that is annoying. Oh, I would have loved to have tried that. You know what, maybe in the future we'll try that, but there's a challenge for you. Try taking off, putting those down, and then landing on those two. That would be really cool. So, welcome to the runway for the final P-80 that we're going to be flying today. This is the very loud P-80, oh sorry, Lockheed F/P-80 Shooting Star by Zawmbbeh. Links below, and probably how to pronounce it up below as well. So this one takes off and seems to use some jet engines, which is quite interesting. I don't know if there are any action groups. Don't believe there are. That's interesting. So it's got jet engines and rocket engines. I wonder if that's to assist it in taking off. It's interesting. We've got a jet engine, and we seem to have little ant rocket engines as well. Maybe to give it that look of afterburner. I don't know. It's very noisy though. So we've got ourselves some fuel tanks on the side, which is cool. So let's go round. Ooh. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's just try and get the engine going. There we go. Point downwards. That's a good idea. Let's just get the engine going downwards, and then we'll just pull out of it. There we go. Nope. 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 Okay. Note to self. Get rid of those things. Alright, we're going to crash this thing. I think this is a bad one. Oh, yeah. I think that's just Flippy out of control-y. And now we're in a flat spin. Quick, eject, eject, eject. Everybody eject. How do I eject? Oh well. Bye-bye. Well, I think on that one, we're going to end it there. So, until next time, have a go at the P-80s and have a great one.